Don't talk about those things on your first date, or you will ruin your chances to meet the right person. All right, listen up, lovebirds and hopeful romantics. First, dates. They're like a minefield wrapped in a bouquet of roses. One wrong step, one ill-chosen word, and boom, your chances of finding the one just went up in smoke. First dates are all about sizing each other up, seeing if there's a spark, a connection. It's a delicate dance, a carefully choreographed routine of witty banter and subtle flirting. But some topics, they're like throwing a wrench into the gears of that beautiful dance. Certain subjects are conversational landmines, ready to explode the moment you step on them. We're talking about the kind of topics that can turn a promising evening into an awkward, cringeworthy disaster. Trust me, you want to avoid those at all costs. The goal is to create a positive, engaging experience. You want your date to leave thinking, wow, I had a great time. I can't wait to see them again. Not, oh God, please let me never have to endure that again. So buckle up, because we're about to navigate the treacherous waters of first date conversation. We're going to show you exactly what not to talk about if you want to actually, get a second date. Okay, rule number 1, and this is a big one. Do not, I repeat, do not spend your first date rehashing your past relationships. Seriously, nobody wants to hear about your ex. It's a major mood killer. Dwelling on exes is like bringing a ghost to dinner. It's awkward, uncomfortable, and frankly, a little bit creepy. Your date is trying to get to know you, not your romantic history. Complaining about previous partners is even worse. It makes you sound bitter, resentful, and like you're still carrying around a whole lot of baggage. Nobody wants to sign up for that kind of emotional baggage claim. And for the love of all that is holy, do not compare your date to your ex's. Oh, you remind me so much of Sarah, except she didn't snort when she laughed. Instant deal breaker. Talking about past relationships signals that you're not fully present in the moment. It suggests that you're still hung up on someone else, and that's not exactly a turn-on. Instead, focus on the here and now. Get to know the person sitting across from you. Ask them about their interests, their passions, their dreams. Leave the exes in the past where they belong. All right, let's talk money, or rather, let's talk about not talking about money. Finances are a tricky subject on a first date. You want to avoid coming across as either a cheapskate or a show-off. Discussing your career is perfectly acceptable. It's a natural part of getting to know someone. But delving into the nitty-gritty details of your debt, that's a major turnoff. Nobody wants to hear about your student loans, your credit card bills, or your gambling addiction. It's just not first date material. Save that for when you're filing joint tax returns. Talking about your investments can also be uncomfortable. It can come across as boastful or pretentious, especially if your date is struggling financially. You don't want to create an imbalance of power right off the bat. And extravagant spending habits? Yeah, those can create a bad dynamic too. Bragging about your expensive car or your designer clothes can make you seem shallow and out of touch. The key is to keep financial discussions light and general. Talk about your career aspirations, your work ethic, your financial goals, but leave the specifics for later, much later. Now let's venture into the danger zone. Controversial topics, politics, religion, deeply personal beliefs. These are the conversational equivalent of walking through a minefield blindfolded. Politics can be incredibly divisive. Unless you're absolutely certain that you and your date share the same political views, it's best to steer clear of this topic altogether. Trust me, you don't want to start a shouting match over tax policy on your first date. Religion is another minefield. While it's important to be respectful of your date's beliefs, getting into a debate about theology is a surefire way to kill the mood. And deeply personal beliefs, those can be problematic too. Sharing your most intimate thoughts and feelings on a first date can be overwhelming and inappropriate. Save these discussions for later, much later. Establish trust and understanding first. Get to know each other on a more superficial level before diving into the deep end. Remember, the goal of a first date is to create a connection, not to start a philosophical debate. Keep the conversation light, fun, and engaging. Leave the heavy stuff for when you've built a solid foundation. Okay, let's talk about negativity. Nobody likes a Debbie Downer, especially on a first date. Constant focus on your flaws and insecurities is draining and unattractive. Insecurities can create a pessimistic atmosphere. If you're constantly putting yourself down, your date is going to start wondering what's wrong with you. And trust me, they're not going to stick around to find out. Past failures are best left unmentioned. Nobody wants to hear about your career setbacks, your failed business ventures, or your embarrassing childhood experiences. Vulnerability is important, but in moderation. It's okay to be honest about your struggles, but don't turn your first date into a therapy session. Instead, focus on the positive aspects of your life. Talk about your strengths, your accomplishments, your passions. Show your date that you're confident, capable, and optimistic about the future. Remember, you want to present the best version of yourself on a first date. Nobody's perfect, but you can certainly put your best foot forward. All right, let's talk about the future. Discussing your goals and aspirations is perfectly natural, but avoid getting too far ahead of yourself. You don't want to overwhelm your date with talk of long-term commitments. Talking about marriage too early is a major red flag. It makes you sound desperate and clingy. Nobody wants to feel like they're being pressured into a lifelong commitment on the first date. Children are another sensitive topic. Unless you know for a fact that your date is also looking to start a family, it's best to avoid this subject altogether. It can be a major turnoff for some people. Long-term commitments can feel premature. Talking about moving in together, getting a pet, or planning a vacation together on the first date is just too much, too soon. Focus on the present moment and getting to know each other. Enjoy the conversation, the laughter, the connection. Leave the future for later, when you've actually built a relationship. Remember, the goal of a first date is to see if there's potential for something more. Don't jump the gun and start planning your wedding before you've even had a second date. So, what's the key to a successful first date? It's all about creating a comfortable environment where both you and your date feel seen, heard, and valued. Make your date feel seen and heard. Pay attention to what they're saying. Make eye contact. Show genuine interest in their thoughts and feelings. Ask open-ended questions. Instead of asking questions that can be answered with a simple yes or no, ask questions that encourage your date to elaborate and share their experiences. Actively listen to their responses. Don't just wait for your turn to talk. Really listen to what your date is saying. Ask follow-up questions. Show that you're engaged in the conversation. Build a genuine connection. Look for common interests, shared values, and mutual passions. Find something that you can both connect on and build from there. Foster a sense of curiosity. Show that you're genuinely interested in getting to know your date. Ask questions that reveal their personality, their dreams, and their aspirations. Remember, a first date is an opportunity to create a connection, not to interrogate your date. Keep the conversation light, fun, and engaging. Make your date feel comfortable and valued. So there you have it, the ultimate guide to what not to talk about on a first date. Avoid the baggage from the past, the pressures of the future, and the controversial topics that can derail your chances of finding love. Leave your date wanting to learn more. Don't reveal everything about yourself on the first date. Leave some mystery, some intrigue. Give them a reason to want to see you again. Focus on building a foundation. Create a connection, establish trust, and foster a sense of curiosity. Lay the groundwork for a potential relationship. And most importantly, aim for a second date. If you followed these tips, you'll be well on your way to a successful first date and a promising future. Now go out there and find your happily ever after. Just remember to keep the conversation light and avoid those conversational landmines. Good luck. You've got this.